Talking about bunker connections, this happened on the San Kennedy. You can see how the ship actually put this hose in a pretty big bind right here, a pretty good bend. They tied it off too, and then, you know, you can tell with as much oils on it, it didn't last very long. So we started pumping, and then all of a sudden it busted because of all the pressure on the hose. What I wanted you guys to start doing is, you know, whenever you see these hoses go up on these ships and they tie them off, or they, you know, you see something not looking right, man, if you can talk these guys into putting down this big ladder, I mean, they're putting it down on the other side if they're at Barber's Cut or if they're at Bayport, they're putting it down. Now, I know the Jacobs ladder is a little scary to go up, but man, if you guys can talk them into putting the other ladder, y'all can go up there and start looking around. We're not going on any of the ships. The tankermen are not going on the ships. We'd like to see, if you can have this access, that's just like walking up a set of stairs and go up there and take a look. I mean, it'd be nice to, and just to bond with the captain, bond with the chief, and just to just see what's going on, because, you know, this has happened a lot lately. This happened on the Dick Dowling. This happened on the Kennedy now. I mean, it just seems like we're going through where these guys are tying off these hoses and putting them in a bind. If y'all can get up there with easy access, let's just say if you go up on half of the ships a year, and I mean, then, you know, we're gonna go on quite a few ships. I mean, that'd be 150 ships company wide. So I mean, that would be great. But you know, I mean, whenever we go down there and we have a problem like this, I mean, our guys, you know, Dylan, Ray, Kirk, and Brad, they're actually going up on the ship. They gotta go see what the hell happened. So I know that you guys can get some access. We'd like you guys to try it. I bet how many tankermen in here have never been on a ship? I bet there's a few. Really? Well, that's good. That's good. That means that's a good thing. But just go up there and start looking around a little bit, if we can see it. I mean, Todd's probably never been on one, but cruise ship maybe.
Stealing the goldfish.
Yeah. Just take a look if you can, and I think it'll help everybody out, and it'll help just mingling with the ship a little bit.
Hey, Eric,
Yes,
I'm you picking on older guys.
Yep.
You'll remember a long time ago when I first met you. We used to go up there all the time.
Yes.
We went up all the time. And we had this rapport with the chief engineer that worked. And I told this story last week, but remember Chinese ship? And you went in there, a little den in there, you know, to sign the papers, the chief engineer, the table, this far off table, right? You ever been up there? To those Oriental ships? Hell, they all sit on the floor. They don't have any chairs, the tables are on the floor. And they got ashtrays on the floor, got all the Chinese smoke like crazy all the time. You know, and so you sit up there, and what's the first thing he does before he walks in the ship? Takes his shoes off. So we took our shoes off. And we went in there with him, sat on the floor. I'm telling you, everything just goes like that. And next thing you know, they want to fix you lunch, or they want you to bring you something to drink, or they just want to see somebody. Because those guys, and they're just that way. You know, the world out on the sea is different than the world that we see politically. Because everybody, we have no problem anybody anywhere in the world that comes in here. 68 cultures a year. And we get along with all of them. Ain't no damn problem out there. Because we're all in the seafarer business, and that's what makes a difference. Jacob's ladders, you remember we've gone up, you know, you gotta pull that ladder out and stick your foot in there, you know, but you gotta lean back, don't you? Because if you don't, your foot's gonna hit the ship, because it's not but that wide, and so you gotta pull back, make sure your toe hits it. Well, we go up and down these things, I've been up and down. I can still go up and down. But if you get this, and like Tim said, if we get them to put the thing down and help it, it's just gonna help us a lot. Because all of a sudden we're finding out we're getting more distance from the ship. And you notice on this hose, this is just a set of drip pans. It's not even touching anything. Here's the ship's, you know, bulkheads way out here. Those idiots up there just took the thing, and we got a picture where they just tied this to this. And isn't that right? Then we have a rope around the whole thing, and they just flat ass bent it themselves. And if we'd have been up there, we'd have seen it before we pumped, but we couldn't see, because the ship's way the hell up there. And so if somebody just gonna look, you'd have gone, first of all, we'd never started pumping, we'd already broke the hose. And we'd have jumped their ass. Now we're having a big deal about whose fault is the spill. Well, we said, you know, you screwed it up. They're saying that we handed it to them this way, encrypted with a boom. Where the hell is the boom, what do you call that thing?
Sling.
The sling. It's way back here. Here's the hose. This boom sling way up here. Doesn't have anything to do with this. So anyway, that's the kind of dilemmas we get into. So the more you can visit, the better it'll be. And the last thing I want to talk to you about that's not on the list, because I think we're going to skip the sample thing. Is that right, Tim?
No.
Okay, we're going to talk about that.
Same meaning as that.
But we're also going to talk about sampling next time.
next 3 weeks.
Anyway, I just want to tell you about, we got one new guy in here, right? Miguel Sykes, where's he? Markel, is it Miguel? Markel? But there he is, okay. Oh, we met the other day, I believe, somewhere. I saw you running in and out of here. But anyway, new guy, right? This is the same problem that all relates, that I just want to tell you about, is new guys. And I'll put a note on here today. One thing, help the new guy. We had a tankerman the other day, was pumping a barge on a tow, and he was pumping 600 barrels an hour. And he had something screwed up, had some air in the line or whatever. Ray finally goes down there after 14 hours, and no captain says nothing. Nobody in operations caught it. VTOL finally caught it, because they're going, what the hell are y'all doing down there? And the boy, it's not that he didn't care, he just didn't know our stuff. And he was new. And Ray goes down there and straightens it out. How long will it take you? 15 minutes? Yeah. Find out what was going on, show the kid what was going on. So let's don't forget about where we came from. This is a prime example of somebody just not looking out the window and helping a new guy. So if you got a new fellow on your boat, say, hey, do you know about this? You know about that? Or just look at him and say, hey, don't do that. This is what we do here. It doesn't take but a minute. And we all came from there. You're all, at one time you were new. Hell, I was new. And you got to figure it out. So just take care of each other, will you? Let's don't go through that stuff. This was the biggest political nightmare for Tim, because that guy that is his friend over there at VTOL is on the line, and he's going, what in the hell are y'all doing down there? And we got less than half the crap pumped off, and how long were we down there? 14 hours? 600 barrels an hour. And who the hell wants to sit on the barge anyway that long? That's nuts. So make sure that you help the other guy, okay? Everybody get what I'm talking about? It's always good. It doesn't have to just be about pumping barges. It's okay to help people other times too. So just take care of each other. It just drives me nuts when something like that happens, because there's no sense in it. Okay, here we go.
Look at some of these samples, guys. You think the customer likes that?
It's not sealed.
Yeah, not sealed. I mean, I love this one. This is a good one. So.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, I know. But you know, the problem is guys carry them like this to get them all off the barge, because they put them all around their fingers and they want to catch them. You guys know exactly what we're talking about. The problem is man, we've had a lot of contaminations with Valero ships and everybody else a few months ago, and they're calling me and they're saying, hey, this is a bad sample. So I mean, so what we've done is we finally did some stuff yesterday with Ray. The next crew change meeting that you have, we're actually going to have everybody at their table is going to have a sample bottle with a new tag, and we're all going to put them on. And we're going to have class, one-on-one on how to put these damn things on, because we're tired of seeing these broke. So we're going to change this strap. We're going to make this thinner so it's not as big, and we're going to show you all how to put these things on. And since we can't figure it out, because I don't know, I think this was the Joaquin, but I mean.
Let's be nice to Eric Day, right?
I know, yeah.
We ripped his ass twice so far.
But this is no different than a bottle. You go take a drug test, and I mean, are you gonna let them run the second sample if it looks like this, or if your tape's broke? No. All right. I mean, you could be pregnant. I mean, you don't want that. Okay? So just tankerman. Make sure your bottles are strapped. All right, this is not acceptable. This is crap. Okay? So we're gonna show it. We're gonna change the straps next time. Get all of these green straps off and show you exactly what we're doing. We reached out to Hartley. We reached out to Kirby. We reached out to Progressive. They all have the same bottles, so we got to keep the same bottles. These plastic tabs on these bottles aren't the strongest, but if we can get the right strap, we can do something better with it. All right? I think my dad might have done that one. Yeah.
All right, so just real quick through the quarterly safety stats. Just remember, these are through the end of June, so they're actually 2 months behind.
That's how
This is
you know
just
what the hell
incident
you
count
know.
for the year. We're trending about the same number of incidents per vessel as we did from last year. This just shows how those incidents are distributed. Again, you guys can get all this information. It's on the net, and I encourage you to do this, to actually go through them during a safety meeting and see what you have. This is just who's at them. This is the infamous activity slide. I think that just on the count of jobs, I think that Patrice shows out front. Again, my standard disclaimer, you know, if you're running a line tow, you probably have fewer of these, but you're facing other risks. I mean, it's not always easy to go through the Colorado locks, right, Ty? So that's got its own things that don't get caught here. Recordable injury rate, we're slowly trending down. Good thing, right? So keep plugging away at that. Lost time injury rate just kind of bouncing, and you guys know the difference, right? Recordable, you get hurt. Lost time, you miss time at work. Lost work days, trending down quite a bit. And then the days between injuries, a little bit of a negative trend, but it's still early in the year. And falls overboard, awesome. We actually had some spills, but we're still well ahead of our peers. Same with spill volume, and that's that. And remember, right, I mean, so we're always looking in the rear view mirror when we're looking at statistics, and they don't always move right away. So the good habits, the risk assessments, the PPE, the following process and procedure, and as Mr. Pat said, looking out for everybody. Over time, those things will make a difference, and I think you'll see that happen going forward. Switching gears, just to cover an incident that we had over in Pascagoula, and to give you the setup real quick. This is where they're coming into load at Pascagoula. You can see that it's a pretty tight space. They pulled in, and the dockman wanted them to flip around to the other side. It's a fairly reasonable request, and there's a ship out in the channel, and they couldn't go. So what ended up happening was that the captain spun the tow in place, right? So the big takeaway here, and life is always tough. It's easy to stand up here and second guess folks, but we ask you to do a risk assessment. We ask you to think about what could go wrong. In that instance, there's a few feet on either end of the tow. So you can make that, right? I mean, how many people would try to spin the barge that way? Anybody? Right? It's not that you can't do it. I think the thing about a risk assessment is that you should be asking yourself, what if everything doesn't go right? And so in this instance, what didn't go right? He starts spinning a little bit quick, right? The tankerman on the bows not really paying attention, and the next thing you know, whap, into the piling, and that's $20,000 of damage just like that. So what other things could he have done? Anybody have any suggestions? What could you do instead of trying to spin it in a tight place?
Back it out, top around, come back in.
That's one, except the ship was blocking it, so he felt like he couldn't have done it. He felt like he couldn't do it. You can't see it here, but there's a ship out in the channel, so they couldn't get back out into the main harbor.
You can wait.
You could wait, right? You can always wait, right? Because Chevron asked us to move. It's not convenient, so we could have waited. The other thing is you could have broken out and tried to spin on a headline, right? Because you saved the length of the boats. That's 70 more feet of clearance. And I'd say if you don't know how to use the headline, that's something to practice, right? I know Kirk is, that's one of Kirk's favorite maneuvers, but it's something that you should have in your toolkit. All right, enough of that. I'm just gonna go back to false starts real quick. So false start reporting, you know, I'm encouraging everybody to get in one per month, and you can see we have some really overachievers, which is really, really awesome, and we have a few laggards. So just keep pumping them in. They keep getting better and better, and there's some good stuff in there. I'm not going to necessarily try to go through all of them, but what I'm trying to do is group them so that you can kind of have lessons. And again, you have all this stuff on the net, so I'm not going to read them all. Some of the ones that, some of my favorites, you know. One thing that's really a really good practice is to be constantly making rounds of the boat, right? You don't want to just sit in a galley. We have machinery and things running all the time. Someone goes through, they make a round, so you can hear a fan barrier going, right? You hear a strange noise. If you hear something strange, there's probably something there, right? It's like your car. You hear a squeal or something like that, or maybe you have a bearing going out in the front. So you never know. It's worth checking out. Did anybody think it's good to leave the galley with something on the stove? Yeah. I mean, a fire on board would be a bad day, I think, for all of us. And then the first group, right? You know, there's a couple of things with people pulling alongside a ship, and that's treacherous, right? You have a container ship, you're on the stern, there's lots of different things that can go wrong there. And so, you know, the takeaway is make sure you've got a good landing spot, and when it's not working, call time out, right? Stop work, maybe you need some help, maybe we need to shift it to another place. Couple of easy ones here, crawling under a drive shaft. I don't think that's ever a good idea. You get a piece of clothing or whatever caught, and it'll spin you in a second. The bunker cable, I think on 2 instances, we had people notice a kink in a cable on a bunker boom, and we ended up having to replace it, right? I think we've already had one bunker boom drop here, which is not a good day. And then we had a cable on the slewing winch part. So you see something, right? Stop it, and then it also highlights the need to kind of check that stuff before you use it, right? That's why we want to look through it. You know, my pet peeve is this whole doing things without eye protection, and it's just like a personal plea to you guys. You know, you only have 2 of these. You know, you lose one, your life is going to be passable, but it's going to be difficult. You lose 2, and it's a mess. So, you know, wear something on your eyes. You don't get another set, and I don't think they've come up with bionic eyes since like the $6 Million Man or something like that. Anybody get that reference?
Yes.
Just checking. All right, so you can read the rest of them. One thing I like to, 2 things on here. There's a lot of false starts coming in with short tankermen maybe having poor work practices. So I'd say it's fine to put that in as a false start, but send an email into operations kind of detailing what's going on, because we want to hold those guys accountable too. Team services, you know, we work with them directly, so we can go right to them. For some of the other companies that we work with, we don't even have control over who they hire, but we would certainly like to give them feedback if they're not doing the right thing, because as Tim has mentioned several times, when there's a spill or an incident from a short tankerman, we're carrying the bag. So we want to hold them accountable as well. And then the other thing is this thing with mooring lines, right? Lots of tripping over mooring lines falling over the side and getting caught in propellers. So good housekeeping, coil them, do something with them so that they're not a hazard. All right, and then I'm going to give you a 2-minute thing on subchapter M. This kind of came in and it passed on July the 20th, right? So everybody knows we're, you know, subchapter M is the law of the land. Everything in there applies right now. We just don't have all our COIs yet. This, when you're really bored, I put a copy of subchapter M on the net. It's 60-something pages. This is an outline of the sections. I encourage you to look through it, but I wouldn't recommend that you actually try to read it cover to cover. It's not really that good. But if an issue comes up, if you're not sure what's required for something under the sun, how to label a life jacket, you know, what's required for a navigation assessment, look it up and actually read the reg text, because if you do that piece by piece, you'll eventually learn the regs. It's much easier to learn when you apply. So for the most part, I think you'd find that we probably came into sub-M when the date we're going down this road. We're probably about 80 to 85% compliant, because we've been following the the AWO Responsible Carrier Program, and a lot of that went into subchapter M. And at the same time, we've been working with the oil companies and we've been working the ISM piece. So because of those 2 things, we really had most of it in there. These are just some highlights of some things that were probably the biggest changes of things that we weren't doing. And if you think back at what came out in Playbook Changes 3 and 4, you'll see that some of those came in, right? Like the navigation assessment, we put that out in Playbook Change 3, and in Playbook Change 4, we made it mandatory when you run with light boat, which is what the Coast Guard requirement is. So for the most part, you're probably doing everything that's in subchapter M already, and we've tried to put most of that stuff in the playbook. Here are the things that we don't necessarily have, or we don't necessarily, where we don't meet subchapter M. We've gone through and we've tried to identify those gaps. If you look in the work list on your vessel, you'll see that those are there, right? So I went through on the back side and I loaded them up for every boat. If you get boarded by the Coast Guard and they ask you where your life raft is, right? Because life raft is a sub-M requirement. And we don't have them on any boats yet, and we're not going to do it yet. I'll get to that in a second. You say, we have documented our non-compliance in the work list, and they'll say, thank you very much. You show them on the screen. They're going to make a note of it, and they'll probably issue an 835, which is okay, but they're not going to post it on the public site. So, and I've actually gone in and met with these guys in Houston. I'm on my way to Mobile today, and I'm going to meet with them over there. And we're being very upfront. Here's what we have. Here's what our compliance plan is, and we're going to move forward. And actually, they're quite fine with that. So, but anyway, you can kind of see what's here. And this is what we're doing. So, looking at those gaps, we have some things like we have flammable paint lockers. Sub-M says they need to be UL blah. Ours are UL not blah. So we need to go back to the Coast Guard and say, hey, it's not exactly the same one, but you know, it's close enough. And I think they'll work with that. there's several issues like life rafts and flares. The emergency lighting on your boat is supposed to last for 2 hours under subchapter M. Most of the lighting that we have only lasts 90 minutes. So AWO has gone to the Coast Guard and they said, hey, you know, how about a little bit of latitude on some of these items? So we're just gonna kind of sit back and let that kind of play its way out. Because I don't want to change out lights on 20 different boats and find out that 90 minutes was okay at the end, right? So we're waiting for that. There's some things where we're going to have to make some vessel modifications. For example, when you see the fuel line on your boat that goes 5 feet from the pipe into the engine, that's a no bueno. So we're going through, the Coast Guard's kind of they have a big deal with 30-inch fuel hoses. So we're going to knock those out as we go. On some of the bigger boats, you're supposed to have 2 means of escape from the engine room. So we are experimenting on the Joaquin with an arrangement so that there's other ways out of the engine room other than the main one. I think on the small boats, the Carmen, I don't think that there's any place to put it. And the reg says that you have to do it unless it's impracticable. We'll have to do something on the Roberto for sure. I don't see not doing that. So we're going to do those as they come into the shipyards, right? We're not just going to pull you out of service. We're going to do it as you go into dry dock. And then so as we get all those things closed down, the last step we're going to do before we get a COI is we're going to bring in a third party to do an independent survey of the boat, right? And you'll recall that I'm trying to be real careful between what I call an audit, right, which is when you do the safety management system and we're quizzing the people, and a survey where you're looking at the systems and all the marking and the labeling and stuff. We'll have an independent one done. We're going to call the Coast Guard in. We're going to hand all that paperwork to them, and they'll probably come out, run some drills, and issue the COI. And you will probably be first. So congratulations. Merry Christmas. All right. Any questions on sub-M? That's a lot. You'll get more of it as we go, and it's okay. All right.
Let me do this. Sub-M is with us forever, and Patrick and Kirk and Brad, Tim, and Ray, and all of them over there, Dylan, have really been working hard to make this thing work. And I know your cooperation is going to work. We have to do it. And you're really getting better on the boat and whatever about telling people and not being scared to talk to people and just read some stuff. Look, I got that playbook on my desk, and Patrick just quotes it verbatim, go to 3.2.5, and I'm going, shit, you know, and I'm trying to find, and whatever. And I do my best to get it, but you know, we can't not know something. And I mean, we got the best, right? He was the captain of the Marine Safety Center, you know, MIT. And so, and he is going to visit people like when he went to MSO here in Houston, and now he's going to MSO in Mobile. So we're going directly into the captain of the port's office and saying, look, we here at Buffalo fix to make this thing work. So we need the support from you guys, because when he puts his ass on the line, we're not going to be just perfect, but they're going to be all right because they believe in us and we don't cause any trouble out here. And we also have our stuff pretty much in order when they come look. And that's because you're all doing the right thing. So don't get relaxed on it and just keep doing it. And it's just like anything else. It's just a continuing education. You know what I mean? We got to just keep doing it and just keep trying to do the best you can. Markel, where are you from?
Houston.
Houston?
Yes, sir.
About time. I want to get to these Trinity guys. Where'd you go to high school?
New King.
New King. You play football?
Yes, sir.
I believe it. Anyway, you know, football good.
Yes, sir.
Good. Anyway, what'd you play over there?
DB, receiver, and running back.
Running back
Yes, sir.
and receiver?
Yes, sir.
And what else? Defensive back?
Yes, sir.
You were a bad young man. Did you go both ways?
Yes, sir.
I believe it. Anyway, good for you. You had a great team anyway. Just for you to hold on to. Don't drop that ball. You're part of our team. We're glad you're here. And anything goes wrong, you just come see. Ain't nothing gonna go wrong. Whose boat's he going on?
CJS.
Who's on the CJ?
Austin, right
There he is? Okay, so when you take him down there, will you please show him where the spoons are and all that shit? So you're gonna be okay. Don't leave him out there. Okay? All right. Yes, sir.
Hey, if anybody goes to Texas City and they're in the fleet, the Roberto's running the fleet. If y'all go down there and you think you're gonna screw around, Kirk went down there the other day and damn near got thrown out of the damn fleet. So we've been sending the Thomas down there and some of the crumpler boats. We're gonna do some odd jobs, moving some canal barges to dock. But I'll tell you what, if you go down there, I'm giving the Roberto and the CJ kick your ass out. All right, so if you're gonna screw around, I got paying customers that wanna come in there. It's not just going down there to sit. We're gonna be moving and working all day. All right?
I don't understand. Are we driving in there doing what? Like somebody
Sometimes
goes,
we just go in there and we just sit on our hands all day.
instead of coming back to Houston?
No, instead of helping the CJ and the Roberto work,
Okay.
moving, shifting barges.
Well, it always helps to help each other. Okay. All right.